Welcome to another episode of Fantasy News, your first ever episode brought to you from the state of Virginia. Hey, I'm home. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and let's go ahead and just jump right on into the news. Starting with several stories from heavy-hitting authors. First and foremost, Neil Gaiman has announced a new pirate-based kids book titled Practical Adventure. Apparently, it's based off of some ideas he jotted down on a piece of paper years ago, has kept in his wallet, and he's finally teaming up with Chris Riddle, the illustrator he's worked with several times before, to bring this story to life for kids and families, and apparently, according to this article, and quote, everyone who enjoys pirates, cooking, swashbuckling, and or donuts. Titled Pirate Stew, this cooking pirate adventure for the whole family seems like a good time. Apparently he's had this idea rattling around his brain since 2009, at least that's what he said is when he first wrote the ideas for this, so that's fantastic. And also you'd think I'd be less excited because it's like aimed at kids, but it's Gaiman, so I'm still excited. And here's a challenge for you out there. Guess what my drink is. It's like my favorite thing ever. It's a mixture of two simple drinks, and I drink it pretty much every couple of days. Now, the first chapter in the upcoming Sanderson release, Dark One, has officially been put online over at The Hollywood Reporter. I'll refrain from showing any panels here for those of you who don't want to see any potential spoilers of this story coming down the road. Now, I want to clarify a couple things that I haven't actually mentioned before when covering Dark One in the past. This is not written by Sanderson. It's his original idea, but the writers of this story are Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. This, of course, was originally supposed to be released on May 2nd, but due to the global pandemic has been delayed quite a bit, but now you can go ahead and check out that first chapter of the Sanderson graphic novel. Accidentally just turned on my flashlight. It is currently available for pre-order, and they're expecting to send out those pre-ordered signed first 100 by August. By the end of August, just to clarify there a little bit for you. Now moving into one more piece of Sanderson related news that I saw quite a few of the nerdier folk in the community geeking out over, myself included. There is an official, like Sanderson put it on his blog, totally legitimate Stormlight Archive Knights Radiant quiz to take to find out what your alignment is. My results are right here. Apparently I'm least like a bondsmith. So for all my bondsmiths out there, what a bunch of losers. But if you'd like to go ahead and take this quiz, of course, the link is right down in the bottom of the description there. I think there's a couple stories after it, but it's in there. You can check out any of the stories I talk about here today. And if you'd like to leave a like while you're at it, I would sure appreciate it, please. And in the final piece of heavy-hitting huge author news for the fantasy genre, we've had two bits from Jim Butcher and the upcoming Peace Talks release from the Dresden Files. The first of which is that Chapter 2 is now available online for a sneak peek read. I am going to refrain from reading this myself. I just don't necessarily enjoy these sneak peeks. I like to read the whole story at once, and it just kind of makes me want the story all the more eagerly, and I already want it so much, man. I can't tantalize myself like that. But if you would like to go ahead and check it out, you're more than welcome to. But we also got a message from the famous, fan-loved, adored narrator of the audiobooks himself, James Marsters. He's sitting in the vocal booth, getting everyone pumped up for the Peace Talks release. So I recommend you watch that if you're a Dresden fan. And if you're not, none of this means anything to you. Next news. We had a couple cover drops and upcoming tour releases put out here, so let's just quickly go through them here. We have, from author C.L. Polk, we had the cover reveal of Soulstar, the final book in the Kingston cycle. A whirlwind of magic, politics, romance, and intrigue that began with the award-winning Witchmark, apparently is going to be wrapping on up here. I'm not that much into romance fantasy, so this one's a bit separated for me, but let me know what you think of this series as a whole in the comments down below. Next cover reveal.
The Nightland Express.
Described as, in antebellum America, two teens bury their secrets and join the historic Pony Express, and soon discover the mortal world is not the only one on the brink of war. Coming from author J.M. Lee, quite a nice cover. I really enjoy like the purple bleeding into the orange there. I'm a big colors guy. We also had the cover reveal for A Desolation Called Peace, the follow-up to the very well critically received and fan adored A Memory Called Empire by author Arkady Martine. Haven't personally gotten into these, though I have had them recommended to me several times, so I may go ahead and peek on into that door. I don't know, there's a lot on my TBR, maybe, maybe not. But if this wasn't enough for you, Tor.com also put out their full June anticipated releases. I highly recommend looking at that list if you need some things for your TBR. But let's not kid ourselves, most of us have a TBR we know we're already not gonna finish, and we're gonna continue to add things to them because we're a bunch of masochistic freaks who never want that TBR pile to actually be empty, because if we didn't have more books to read, we'd have to address that emptiness inside of ourselves, and we need the escapism, damn it. Getting too real? Okay, next news. Moving on into adaptation news. We had a bit of shade being thrown around from Riordan, the author of the Percy Jackson series and very begrudgingly associated with that Lightning Thief movie that was put out. He said a few things here. One, he said that watching that Percy Jackson movie be made was like watching his life's work be put through a meat grinder, which is a pretty intense insult. And he also reaffirmed that he has never actually seen the movie. Apparently he read the script and hated it so much he just kind of decided he's never gonna watch it, and he still hasn't. The final thing he said, though, is they should just censor the entire movie on Disney Plus and get rid of it altogether, when someone brought up the fact that apparently they censored one of the things on Disney Plus because Disney Plus is really into censoring now, which we'll get into that in another video. And this kind of honestly left like a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, just seeing an author really dunk hard in an adaptation that was bad, but just be really brutal in some of the things he was saying. But he did add the comment that he still does appreciate the actors and doesn't blame them whatsoever, and that completely got rid of the bad taste in my mouth. There's just like, I always have a little bit of like a soft spot towards actors who get involved with these adaptations, because a lot of the time they're really big fans and they really hope this is like a big step for their career, and it ends up being like a haunting presence for their entire lives. So the fact that he took a moment to be like, hey, they're still great, this isn't their fault, made it so I was just 100% like, yeah, crap on it, Rick, good job. And of course, we are set to get another adaptation of Rick Riordan's work over at Disney Plus in a series format. Now we're gonna do a little bit of comic book news here, and this first piece I wanna say and reaffirm is a rumor. Nail that into your head right there. It's a rumor, this is not confirmed, but I think almost everyone's gonna agree with me on this. It's a very, very likely one, and I just kinda wanna talk about it as another version of this character coming on out. They're apparently looking to create another version of the Joker for the upcoming The Batman movie starring Robert Pattinson. Not the first one that has a different set of villains, but for the sequels that may be occurring, assuming it's a success. You have to put that there because if it totally flops, though Batman doesn't typically flop, it could not have any sequels. They do seem to be looking into bringing about another version of the Joker, which we've had so many The Jokers, like, my gosh, and they're in such a huge scale of quality. Like, is there a version of the Joker we've not gotten in live action yet? We've gotten the cartoony Jack Nicholson, the psychotic Heath Ledger, the cringy Suicide Squad one. What's the actor's name? I don't care. Moving on. The brilliant and realistic Joaquin Phoenix. Like, what else? What else do we need here? I'm not even entirely sure, but we're getting it. Maybe like the more dirty and gross Joker that we've seen recently. I don't know. What kind of Joker would you like to see being Robert Pattinson's the Batman? Because it's like unavoidable we're gonna get it, right? I don't think anyone's gonna balk at the idea that they're gonna put Batman's greatest villain eventually in a Batman series of movies. But what version would you like to see if they're going to do it? Or no, you don't want to see the Joker again, and you'd like to see them bring up another Batman villain that maybe hasn't gotten enough love in recent years, like Mr. Freeze or the Riddler. I do know there are a contingent of Batman fans who really enjoy Mr. Freeze and don't like the fact that the only live action version we've seen, I think, is the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. Am I wrong there? I could be, but I think it's just that, and that was not an accurate representation. Now, flopping on into the video game news, we have a pretty interesting story here that I think will make a lot of Last of Us fans very happy. So, the first director for a show is very important. They essentially lay down the blueprint for every director to follow after them for the vision of the show. So you really want to make sure you get a great director to establish that. And for the Last of Us adaptation, they have landed Johan Renck, who, for those of you unaware, helmed Chernobyl, the absolutely fantastic series over at HBO. If you haven't watched it, oh my god, do it. It's one of the best pieces of television in the last 5 years. But this man will be coming in and showing us a vision for The Last of Us and laying down that blueprint I mentioned. Very excited for that. This is similar to when I was praising Ulta Bruitz being chosen for directing the pilot of the Wheel of Time show. That's great news because she has such a great amount of experience under her belt, and I'm excited to see someone with a similar level of experience and credibility to their name setting up The Last of Us's scaffolding for this show coming over at HBO. By the way, there's only like 5 episodes of Chernobyl, so you can absolutely just sign up for like a free trial and watch the 5 episodes, then cancel it. I'm just saying. Now, for Star Wars fans out there, the only piece of Star Wars news we'll be covering here today is quite the happy positive one. Yay! And that is that The Mandalorian Season 2 is apparently not going to be delayed. Jon Favreau has confirmed that they had all the primary shooting done, and the VFX work has been essentially completed at home. And with the technology we've seen used for shooting The Mandalorian, it makes sense that a lot of that could just be done at home with those like live giant screen effects in the background, which are still like the coolest new piece of filming tech I've seen in maybe my lifetime. They're amazing. But yes, Season 2 will be on Disney Plus this October. No major delays there, and all the exciting Mandalorian Season 2 news we've seen is coming straight to you. Gonna be, don't know why I did that, hitting your face this Halloween time. Oh man, we're gonna have so many kids dressed up as the Mandalorian. Is that gonna be the most popular costume for kids? Maybe. Probably. Yeah, I would think so. Oh, we're gonna get slutty baby Yodas. Oh, come on. We don't need that, but it's gonna happen. Oh. Now, were you one of the weirdos who loved the Atlantis movie from Disney growing up? Because I sure did. Michael J. Fox in that was brilliant. Well, the director, Kirk Weiss, has come out and talked about the details of the sequel that was originally planned if it was a success, which didn't happen because it flopped. And if you like this movie like I did, go ahead and check it out in the description. Leave a like while you're down there. And it was just neat to see this little bit of a insight on what could have been. And for those of you thinking like, hey, wasn't there a TV show? They addressed that. We also had an update from Culture Crave about several shows and movies that will resume filming this month. This includes Witcher Season 2, the Batman, Avatar sequels, The Lord of the Rings, Fantastic Beasts 3, and The Little Mermaid. Note, Wheel of Time is not in there, and there are a lot of fans thinking that it's been confirmed Wheel of Time is resuming filming. I don't think they're correct on that, but I can't say for 100% sure. They're going off the fact that the actor who plays Tom, Alexandra Willem, posted on Instagram like, hey, look, resuming filming, but they didn't do the research necessary to realize he has 2 projects currently being filmed. And it's not confirmed because he didn't use any hashtags or anything, which project he's referring to, but the fact that no other Wheel of Time cast members have been like, hey, we're filming again, and they haven't announced that they're filming again, makes me think this is just his other project. That's my hot take on that. And that's the last piece of hot, sexy fantasy news we're going to be covering here today. Let me know what your favorite story of the day was in the comments down below. Tell me what you think of the new setup, what I should improve, what I should, unimprove, and like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit that Patreon if you want to support what I do here and help me pay off the extreme expenses of moving, and have a good one, y'all. Peace.